Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. We're going to have a look at this article here. There's a link in the description. I'm actually going to play two Twitter videos. I've only actually listened to the first one so far, but they're both relevant. Now, I do try to not have this channel to be political. I do have, of course, my own political views. Some of you will agree with some of them. Others will be bored with what goes on in my head. So I don't really try to sully this channel with political discussion too much. But this is clearly highly relevant. President Trump calls for the death penalty for drug dealers and human traffickers during an Ohio rally. So I guess we could ask, well, who the hell cares what Donald Trump has to say? He's no longer the president. So yeah, that's a fair point. He has no power at this point in time. Well, he has no political power, but I mean, certainly does have his popularity. He's able to draw in a crowd still, even though he's got a lot of haters that we're very well aware of. But in any case, he's calling for the death penalty for drug dealers and human traffickers. Very, very briefly, I like that sentiment. I'm all for the death penalty, personally. All for it. And I think having the death penalty for drug dealers, that makes sense to me. And it makes sense to have the death penalty for human traffickers. To me, it's about strength. It's about authority. It's about maintaining a healthy society. And to do that, you've got to be strict, because we know humans are going to do incredibly bad things, evil things, out of greed and out of psychoticness. But anyway, so let's play a couple of videos here. We'll start with this one.
Cleveland, 11 people were shot in a single incident. Carjackings in the city are up 57%. Much of the crime wave is caused by drug dealers who, during the course of their lives, will kill an average of 500 American citizens, not to mention the destruction of millions of American families who are so devastated by drugs. It's an invasion of crime. And remember, much of the crime that we talk about is caused by drugs. And I'm calling for the death penalty for drug dealers and human traffickers. Which will, upon its passage, reduce drug distribution and crime in our country by much more than 75%. That's in one day, you know.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on all of that. He makes a number of points. My brain's not functional enough this evening to remember everything he stated there. But he did say something which struck me. He said, much of the crime wave is caused by drug dealers who, during the course of their lives, will kill an average of 500 American citizens. 500 American citizens. Now, I have no idea how accurate that statement is. I know Trump gets vilified for stating false facts and all of this. Maybe this is a false fact. It is very shocking that the average drug dealer during the course of their lives will kill an average of 500 American citizens. I mean, that's dreadful. That is shocking. I think it is believable. So, of course, he's not saying that they go around literally murdering 500 American citizens, but drug dealers feed the addicted with drugs which lead to their deaths. And we know this. And we're all disgusted by it. You know, we're seeing way too many fentanyl overdoses in particular. You know, there are videos out there of your inner cities, multiple different cities. It's not just the likes of Detroit. There are many other cities, Philadelphia, I believe, where you have entire blocks full of people that are like completely zombified on drugs. And, you know, they're bent over. I'm not sure what drugs they're taking. Some new kind of drug, and they can't even stand properly. It is terrible. And dealing drugs without question, leads to death. Okay, if you're dealing weed, okay, maybe not, maybe it doesn't. If you're dealing MDMA, Molly, then yeah, maybe that's pretty fine. I remember back in the day there was a few major ecstasy deaths that were highly publicized. I would say a bit of a panic, a media panic about ecstasy. Personally, I don't object to ecstasy and acid and these kind of soft drugs too much. Personally, is my personal opinion. But certainly these hard drugs cause untold amounts of death. I nearly made an article yesterday about a 15-year-old girl who was found dead at school, if I recall, in the Hollywood high school where they make the TV show Glee. I can't remember the full details, but a 15-year-old girl, and I think she had Percocet, but it was laced with fentanyl. So it was fake Percocet, or it's not the official brand. Forgive me if I'm letting my ignorance show. I don't really know what Percocet is, but I believe I'm guessing it's a brand name of a particular medication, a pharmaceutical drug, which is replicated perhaps by companies within China or India. I believe they manufacture a lot of pharmaceuticals, some of which are perfectly legal, a lot of which are perfectly legal, and some of which are not so legal. But in any case, I support that. I find that shocking. During the course of their lives, a drug dealer will kill an average of 500 American citizens. If that is in any way correct, in any way accurate, then there is no argument that drug dealing poses an immense issue to society and needs to be stopped. Again, I wouldn't go hard against soft drug dealers, but certainly anyone that's involved in any drugs which cause severe harm or death need to be stamped out, given the death penalty. I'm all for that. I am interested in your thoughts, of course, and I'm going to play this second video, which I've not listened to so far, so let's give that a go.
Find out that they did it, and if they did it, they get immediately executed. We have no drug problem. And they save millions and millions of lives. Same with Singapore, same with other countries. Every place that has a real death penalty, a strict death, they don't have any people dying of drugs. I mean, literally nobody. Because these drug dealers are smart. They say, and she told me this, they say, you know what? If I want to keep doing drugs, if I'm going to continue to sell them, I'm not doing them in China. I'll go someplace else. Like, how about the United States of America where nothing happens? But think of it, we would reduce crime in our country by much more than 75% in 1 hour. In 1 hour. The day it's passed, it's got to be meaningful, but you would reduce it in 1 hour. And I say it because it's very hard. Nobody ever talks this way. Nobody talks about the death penalty. It's a horrible thing to say. Even for me, it's a horrible thing. But they kill 500 people. So the death penalty is very humane if you look at it, and they destroy families long beyond the 500 people. So no more blue ribbon committees telling us what to do. We want the death penalty for drug dealers and for human traffickers, if you don't mind.
Yeah, look, as I said, I am very reluctant to cover political subjects, and obviously Trump is an incredibly polarizing figure, but I frankly fully agree with everything he says. I guess he does say very populist things, but I have no issue with this. I don't find the term death penalty to be ugly, or not that ugly. I'm all for the death penalty in a number of different situations. Why wouldn't I be? Like, I don't go around committing crimes. All right, fine. I might have illegally streamed the Canelo Triple G boxing match earlier today, but apart from potentially, but I don't commit serious crime. I don't cause real harm to any entity, any being in the world. So why should I care about those that do severe wrongdoing, about the comeuppance that they face? I don't care. If these people cross society's boundaries, they harm society in highly significant ways, yeah, kill them. Kill them, give them the death penalty, and do it quickly. Obviously, you can't have kangaroo courts. You can't just kill people, drug dealers on the street, and that does happen, I believe, in some countries. Brazil has been known to having death squads. Nigeria has had death squads. They go around killing what they believe to be drug dealers without a free and fair trial process. I mean, that's not ideal. So they need to do it properly. They need to implement it properly. But I'm all for it. And he makes a good point towards the end of this little video here, where he says it goes well beyond the 500 that die, if that is an accurate number. It's their families. That's right. Their families are destroyed by this. It, destroys their mentality. It destroys their emotion. It destroys their lives. It creates an immense sadness for those families that lose a loved one. Could be a child, could be a parent, could be a sibling, could be a cousin, whatever it is. I mean, it's damaging. It's damaging to the whole of society. So yeah, absolutely, things need to be done about it. And I grew up with Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan. Of course, I didn't pay too much attention, but the one takeaway I have about Ronald Reagan is really more in regards to Nancy Reagan and the whole anti-drug crime, anti-drug movement that they try to create. Just say no. And I believe there was a lot of CIA action. Some would say CIA are responsible for the proliferation of drugs both within America and other countries. I wouldn't say such things, but some people do. But yeah, I mean, you guys did have a war against drugs. Didn't work, did it? I mean, it utterly failed. And it's increasingly failed. Like, I'm a hypocrite. I follow hip hop music. Hip hop music has been for more than a decade completely dominant, perhaps 2 decades. It's the most powerful cultural force, I think we would say, certainly from media, within America and probably within the Western world, hip hop, and it is riddled with drug references, gang references, and just promoting a gang lifestyle and a drug using lifestyle. And, with that, your younger generations, that's their frame of mind, that partaking in drug use is the right thing to do. To me, I mean, like, in England, when I grew up, there was a lot of anti-heroin media, and with that, I would never ever consider taking a hard drug like that. To me, it's utter madness. But people do. People smoke crack. People take meth. Ice in Australia has been, I think it still is, a massive problem. Young people, like to go out and buy some ice instead of getting drunk at the pub. They buy some ice from some guy or other. I don't know how much it costs, but it's probably relatively cheap, and they prefer to get high off that or whatever. And these things cause problems. So I'm all for severe action where it's called for, and to me, drug dealing and human traffickers, it's required. Another aspect to this is, as far as I understand from the media that I see in America, certain areas in particular, of course, you have gangbangers, you have gang members, and they are clearly gangbangers. They promote themselves as gangbangers. They wear colours. They have gang tattoos riddled all over their body. They live the lifestyle. They're not difficult to find. So I agree with what Trump's saying here. If you were to outlaw the drug dealing and have severe punishment, and also you put in and the actual will to follow through to arrest and prosecute wrongdoers. Now you would think that, as he says, things would change very, very rapidly. If you're dealing drugs because you want the extra cash and you don't want to go and get a job, all of a sudden, if your life's threatened, maybe you think, well, you know what? Maybe I will go down to McDonald's and take that $25 an hour. So yeah, I think it will work. He's right to point to a number of different countries that have the death penalty. Singapore is a good example. I believe Thailand is another good example. If you're caught dealing drugs, importing, distributing drugs in Thailand, you will be banged up in jail for a long, long time. And it won't be a pleasant experience for you. Same with Singapore. Singapore's got the death penalty, I believe. So yeah, the harsh treatment, it's required. So anyway, there's this video. It went on for a little bit longer than I thought. Please do like, comment, subscribe. I think this is an important subject. You guys are at this channel because you've got an interest in crime, and I think this is a very important discussion in that regard. So thank you.